Hello again, hockey fans. Are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your buddy, Paladino Joey. It is episode number 15 of Brave the Wild today, Wednesday, March 11th, 2009. March 11th. Watch out for 11. All of you out there that, yeah. All right. Well, we'll get into that some other time. Brave the Wild, Minnesota Wild Hockey Podcast, a alternative to the Minnesota Wild Hockey Podcast, which is employed by the Minnesota Wild. A little less homerism and a little more objectivity, which is something I hope sports fans look for in any show regarding their favorite team. All right. Well, we thank each and every one of you for joining us. As the Brave the Wild is available on the sportstuff.com and iTunes. Thank each and every one of you for downloading and listening to this show. As always, it means a lot to me, and I hope it means a lot to you. Because if it does, I would like you to please tell a friend. Tell a friend about the show. Tell them to check it out. And to also join the message boards on the sportstuff.com. It's on the front page of the sportstuff.com. There is a button in the upper right-hand corner that says TSS Boards. Simply click on that. That is how you can join our message boards and interact with several members of the website, including multiple podcasters, including myself. And you can also vote on polls in the NHL section, the podcaster section, Brave the Wild section. You get the idea. Do sign up. It is 100% free and 100% fun. Also, gotta mention, Minnesota.NHLfansite.com, Minnesota.NHLfansite.com. Nice enough to put a link to Brave the Wild in pretty much the front and center of the website. I appreciate that very much, Chris, who is the manager of that website. Thank you again very much for that. It has absolutely helped the traffic and downloads for this show, and I hope this show has helped your website as well, as that is the plan. That is the plan, the new podcast order, you could call it. Well, today on this show, episode number 15, we are going to talk about 3 games. We're going to talk about another loss to the LA Kings and some very competitive hockey after that against the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. So 3 games to review today. We're going to also get into a little bit of nuggets involving Marian Gaborik getting closer and closer to playing again. Little NHL nuggets involving Guy Carbonneau and Bob Gainey with the Montreal Canadiens, and a little Houston Aeros talk. We're going to check up on Benoit Pouliot, Danny Ehrman, and others. So, with no further ado, we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back after this. Here on the sportstuff.com, get on board the Viking ship with Purple Mafia. We will talk about the new Purple People Eaters and the best running back in the NFL, Adrian Peterson. This team is ready to make a move forward. Purple Mafia is available on thesportstuff.com along with iTunes and MediaFly. Simply download and listen to the most honest and passionate Vikings coverage. And we are back here on Brave the Wild, episode number 15, which is a reminder for iPod users. If you don't have maybe a screen on your iPod, maybe you have the iPod Shuffle, or you just don't want to have to look at it, and you're in the archives. So, hello, March 15th. All right, or March 15th, March 11th, episode 15. Excuse me. Do check out Purple Mafia, Minnesota Vikings podcast, sportstuff.com, thesportstuff.com, and iTunes. Very simple to find. Minnesota Vikings, a great podcast here in the Twin Cities. Alrighty. Minnesota Wild, let's get into it right away. Saturday, the 7th of March, the Minnesota Wild, coming off a very emotional victory against the San Jose Sharks, in which they trailed 3-0 and won 4-3. That game was a thriller, which went to overtime in the Shark Tank against Coach Todd McClellan, the former Houston Aeros coach for your Minnesota Wild affiliate. The Wild were able to come all the way back and beat the San Jose Sharks, shock the world. This could be a season-changing victory, but we always have trouble with these annoying LA Kings, the up-and-coming, yet still inferior LA Kings. The inferior Los Angeles Kings, we haven't beaten them yet this season. Andrew Burnett on PA, the Paul Allen Show, the PA Project, or whatever they call it. was talking to, we gotta win. We gotta win. We can't just have an emotional win in San Jose and then come back and lose to the LA Kings. But the Wild lose to the LA Kings. Yep. On Saturday the 7th in Los Angeles, the Staples Center, the Wild lose 4-3. Just another frustrating deal for the Wild. Once again, it's only 2:26 into the game, an unassisted goal by Kyle Quincy, only his 4th of the year. It's like, here we go again. Here we go again. I mean, we just cannot solve the Los Angeles Kings. Kyle Quincy, though, has only 4 goals, but he's a very talented defenseman for these LA Kings. 38 total points, 34 assists. He is a power play quarterback type of defenseman. He's had a breakout year. Started in 2003, 4th round pick. So this guy, definitely an intriguing breakthrough player for the LA Kings. Definitely a find. He was in the Detroit Red Wings system for a long time, for a couple of years. Only played a couple of games with the LA Kings, about 12 games, and only got 1 point, 1 goal in about the 2-year period, and he has had a breakthrough season with the LA Kings. So congratulations to the Kings on that one for sticking it to those Detroit Red Wings, who always seem to win those type of trades or anything, free agency, whatever it is. The Detroit Red Wings always get the upper hand. So that's one area where I'm going to give a props to the LA Kings right there. Fortunately for our Wild, just about 7 minutes later, Owen Nolan with his 18th goal of the year. This guy continues to provide unexpected offense for your Wild. 18th goal of the year, Anna Burnett and Kim Janssen assisting there. Kyle Calder, another Kyle, for the LA Kings only. So we were all excited. Here we go. We tied it up. We're going to be just fine. 30 seconds later, 29 seconds later to be exact, Kyle Calder ties it up. 8th goal ties it up, gives the Kings the lead right back. Jack Johnson, as we heard last time, he was a big reason why the Kings beat us last time, assisting there. Fortunately, the Wild were able to tie it up again in a very entertaining first period. The Wild score 2 goals on only 7 shots on goal. Stefan Veilleux, who has actually been picking it up of late. You're going to hear his name a decent amount during this show today. Stefan Veilleux and James Shepard, who also is stepping up a little bit. Able to score with about 5 minutes to go in a fairly entertaining first period. 4 goals scored in this period, total that is. James Shepard and Veilleux, though, becoming a little better. They're getting a little better. Like, Veilleux has always been a solid player. He doesn't kill you like Shepard. Yeah, I mean, I kind of dug into him a little bit on episode number 14, and a lot of Wild fans are frustrated with him at this point in time. But he's starting to play a little bit better, just a little bit. Unfortunately, though, the second period does not go the Wild's way at all. A fairly unentertaining period either. Now, the Kings had 11 shots on goal in the first period. They only mustered 4 shots on goal, yet scored twice. And after Enzi Kopitar with his 23rd goal of the year, assisted by Michael Handzus and Matt Green, that was when Nicholas Backstrom, who just recently signed that long-term deal, was pulled for Josh Harding. Teddy Purcell with his 4th goal of the year on the power play, so the Wild give up a power play in this game. As I'm starting to see a little kinks in the armor a little bit with the Wild penalty kill of late, the last couple of games, just a little bit. They're still the best in the league, but, it's starting to turn a little bit, I think. So yeah, 3rd goal of the year, Alexander Fravlov and Kyle Quincy. So Quincy with his 2nd point of the game. He ended up being the number 1 star overall, that outstanding defenseman for the Kings, who still doesn't even have a picture on Yahoo. That's how obscure he was before this season. Just a great find for the Los Angeles Kings. So Harding giving up that goal, unfortunately. Thankfully for his sake, he did not give up another goal the rest of the way. He faced a total of 11 shots and, of course, stopped 10 of those. Eric Belanger, early in the 3rd period, was able to get his 12th goal of the year. Anna Burnett and Dan Fritchie, who continues to play nice hockey. I mean, he is right on the puck all the time, Dan Fritchie. I like him a lot more than I thought I would. I do. He's not like a big-time scorer, but he's on the puck. He is he's a better hockey player than I gave him credit, and hopefully he'll continue to develop. He's kind of like what you saw in James Shepard last year. Always on the puck defensively and offensively. Always in the right place. Definitely not the case with Shepard this year. But Belanger gave us some hope, thinking, hey, we're within one goal here. We got a shot, as the Wild do put up 12 shots on goal in the third period. And they only score on one of them, of course. That was Belanger's goal. Harding stops all 9 shots by the Los Angeles Kings. As 24 shots apiece for the Wild and LA. Not the most entertaining game of all time. And the Kings win. John Quick was in the net for the Kings once again, and he beats the Wild again. Wild were 0-2 on the power play. The face-offs, well, the Wild actually win in this category for only the second time in a while. 25-24, so they won by 1 face-off. But it could have been worse, I guess. The fact of the matter is this was a regulation loss, so the Wild do not get a single point. Fortunately, though, in the next 2 games, the Wild do get points in each of them. And Sunday was a very unexpected victory by your Minnesota Wild. It was basically like a make-up win because you figured maybe the Wild go to LA, win that one, and then lose to Anaheim, right? Because Anaheim has forever been a bad matchup for our Minnesota Wild. Well, I told you I was going to talk about Stefan Veilleux. Only a minute into the game, Stefan Veilleux getting his 9th goal of the season. Nick Schultz and Kel Clutterbuck assisting. So definitely guys who could use a couple more points on, for their stats this year. Clutterbuck's been okay. Schultz is not much of a points guy. He's just a stay-at-home defenseman. Fairly entertaining first period overall. The shots on goal, 11-9. Anaheim winning that category. And then the second period, well, Todd Marchant, when he tied up the game, it's like, oh, God, because it was a short-handed goal. The Wild were on the power play, and they gave up a short-handed goal. The Wild, by the way, 0-4 on the power play. Thankfully, Anaheim also shut down on the power play, 0-3. So the penalty kills ruled in this game, and, of course, it really ruled for the Anaheim Ducks there on Todd Marchant's 4th goal, an unassisted goal. 5 minutes and 10 seconds into the second period, and it's like, that kind of took the air out of us a little bit here in Minnesota for the time being. But then Stefan Veilleux, who I was saying pretty much going into this game, yeah, Veilleux will go on a breakaway here and there, but the guy never finishes. He never finishes, ever. Boom, he scores. He scores. And he gets his second goal. He gets his second goal of the game in a fairly entertaining second period. This time it was 11 shots on goal, for Anaheim and 8 for the Wild, so very similar there. Veilleux assisted by Nolan and Janssen there. So now Veilleux has 10 goals on the year. Not bad at all for the grinding penalty kills specialist, Stefan Veilleux, or third liner, whatever you want to call him, checking line, basically. Very encouraging. The Wild up 2-1 going into the third period. And historically, the Wild have a pretty good record when leading after 2. Andrew Brunette, Andrew Brunette was able to get his 15th goal about 12 minutes into the third period. James Shepard and Pierre-Marc Bouchard assisting on that one. And as I said, James Shepard finally starting to step up a little bit, and nice to see Bouchard, as he was on a run for a while and then got a little bit quiet, but he factors in there. Anaheim, though, getting 16 shots on goal in the third period as Nicholas Backstrom was outstanding in this game. He was outstanding as they like to say in Canada. He faced 38 shots and stopped 36 of them. He did fantastic. Hiller for the Anaheim Ducks, not quite the same story. The Brunette goal, though, was a pretty nice deal for our Wild. That was a nice one. He was able to pretty much put Anaheim on ice, pun intended. Scott Niedermayer, though, was able to get a goal with only 40 seconds to go in the game. This was a little bit questionable. A lot of people are wondering what's going on here. The goal counted, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Scott Niedermayer getting his 10th goal of the year, the super-duper Hall of Fame defenseman for the Ducks. Corey Perry and Ryan Gutzlav assisting on that one. And that had us a little bit worried, but thank God we were able to get out of this one with a victory in Anaheim, California. I can't even remember the last time we won in Anaheim. If there was a recent one, I apologize. I must be blanking because our success rate in Anaheim has been pitiful. So if somebody can fill me in on the most recent victory in Anaheim, I'd appreciate it. Didn't really have time to really super duty check into that, but it's been a long time, I believe. So forgive me if I'm ignorant on that one. The Wild then come home as they were complaining a little bit about how, you go on a long road trip, come home for one game, and then go right back on a 3-game road trip again. And they're complaining, thinking, well, what's the point of this? All it does is distract us. We'd rather just stay on the road the whole time. And, the Wild were pretty competitive in this game against San Jose. This was yesterday, the 10th of March, in XL Energy Center. And it's like, hey, the Wild success rate against the Sharks has been very good. It's been very good. Unfortunately, though, as the King and Dragon Warrior for NES would say, take care and tempt not thy fates. Tempt not thy fates. As the Wild go down 3-0 in this game again. Now why in the world should Lightning strike twice? Well, folks, Lightning almost did strike twice. It was pretty close. Before I get into that, though, Joe Thornton was the goal scorer, the super duper star for the San Jose Sharks with his 19th goal. Travis Moen, Christian Eroff with the assist there. Travis Moen, 5th goal of the year, unassisted, short-handed goal. So again, another short-handed goal. 2 games in a row in that category. It's just a little frustrating there. First period totally didn't go the Wild's way. 8 shots on goal for San Jose, 3 shots on goal for our Minnesota Wild. Of course, the goalies were Boucher and Backstrom yet again, so it was basically a rematch. Thornton getting his 20th goal of the year. This was on the power play this time and also unassisted. So now Thornton with 20 goals. This was about 6 minutes into the second period. The Wild, much more competitive here. The Sharks have the exact same type of period. 8 shots on goal. The Wild, 15 shots on goal. And Peter Olechi, I hope I'm finally saying it right, with his 2nd goal of the year. Definitely nice to get that. Always a bonus when Peter Olechi can factor in. Cal Clutterbuck and Marc-Andre Bergeron with the assist there. That was about 3 minutes after the Thornton goal, and it's like, here we go. Can it be happening all over again? And the funniest part of all, a minute into the third period, which made a lot of us, hockey conspiracy theorists. No, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just like, hey, something's up here. There's something spiritual going on between these two teams, isn't there? Pierre-Marc Bouchard made it 3-2. Who made it 3-2 in last game? Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Coincidence, huh? 16th goal of the year for Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Cam Janssen assisting there just a minute into the third period. So I think a lot of Wild fans were getting pretty excited at this point in time. But unfortunately, Milan Michalek, 9 minutes later, Milan Michalek, who always plays well all the time. He is a very good player on the San Jose Sharks. 18th goal of the year, Ryan Clough, Daniel Boyle with the assist 9 minutes later. But then the Wild trailing 4-2, and it's like probably all hope is lost at this point in time. Old man Nolan to the rescue again. Old man Nolan to the rescue again. Just simple. 3 minutes later, he puts in his 19th goal of the year, making him the leader in goals yet again. Marek Zidlicki scoring there. Assisting. Marek Zidlicki and Koivu assisting on that. And then 4 minutes later, Koivu and Nolan team up again for Nolan's 20th goal of the year. Owen Nolan with 2 goals to send this sucker into overtime with about 2 minutes to go. So it's like, hey, someone is smiling on this Minnesota Wild team. They have come back from a 3-0 deficit once again. Unbelievable against these San Jose Sharks, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, who, by the way, I am not picking to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm picking the Calgary Flames. But as I go right back to the topic at hand, overtime does happen, and the Sharks get 2 shots on goal. The Wild only manage 1 shot on goal. And unfortunately on that second shot, Christian Ehrhoff getting his 8th goal of the year unassisted. And the Wild get out of there with a point. Unfortunately, not the victory. But at least the Wild got a point in a game they were trailing 3-0. Unfortunately, though, just not their night. Not their night, unfortunately. San Jose winning the face-off category, by the way, 30-23. That was a very, very entertaining game. A lot of fun. And, boy, Sharks and Wild. Years ago, this was not a good matchup at all. The Wild would just get buried. But lately, this has been a lot of fun. Maybe it's the Owen Nolan factor or something. I have no idea. But old man Nolan, man, 20 goals. I don't know if you can hear me clapping. You probably can. He gets a clap to get 20 goals at age 36. And with the injuries he's had over his career, and he's kind of had a nagging injury season. What production you got out of Owen Nolan this year. Congrats. I just applaud that move big time. It's quite a shame that the Wild are not higher. They're not ranked higher, say, in the playoff seeding or something, of that matter. It's just, it's a bummer. But that concludes the game reviews. Very productive week, really, when you think about it. To get, the Wild got 3 points in 3 games, so I guess not overly productive. That's basically 500 hockey, but still, it was more productive than some of us might have thought going against Anaheim and San Jose. So, hey, I'll take it. So with that, I'm going to take us a quick break, and we're going to get into some nuggets right after this. Here on the sportstuff.com, we're bursting in blue with Timberwolves Explosion. Timberwolves fans, your show has arrived at last as we bring in a new era with Al Jefferson, Kevin Love, and Mike Miller. We're available on the sportstuff.com and also available on iTunes. Download and listen to in-depth and detailed coverage of your favorite team. Show your true blue and join this explosion of Timberwolves basketball. And we are back here on Brave the Wild, episode number 15. A reminder for iPod users, do check out Timberwolves Explosion, Minnesota Timberwolves basketball podcast on the sportstuff.com, iTunes, and timberwolvespress.com. Do check it out. More than worth it. All right, well, a couple of nuggets to cover. First and foremost, we're going to talk about Marian Gaborik, the guy who none of us really care about anymore because we figure he's gone, right? He's gone, and most likely, I guess you never know, as there is some talk that he may end up just re-signing here for 1 year or something like that. I don't know what the point would be to do that, because he's just going to go through the same thing again next year. And that would just be a frustrating deal. But definitely, there's no doubt about it that his value has dropped. So if you do sign Marian Gaborik, it won't cost as much. Now, Jacques Lemaire recently has said all the right things, like who wouldn't want Marian Gaborik, and he's so valuable to anybody and all that stuff. But I don't know. I'd like to say that, but the good news is for Marian Gaborik fans. I have been a Marian Gaborik fan for a long time, as the closing theme for this show is a remix of Mega Man 1's Elect Man. I don't know if some of you out there are old school gamers for the NES. Elect Man. I considered Marian Gaborik Elect Man because the Minnesota Wild play in XL Energy Center. He is an electrifying player, and or at least he has been that. But the good news is that he actually is going with the Minnesota Wild on the road. Now that does not mean by any means that he is on the verge of playing, but it does mean progress is absolutely in the mix right now. There is some progress with Marian Gaborik, and hey, it is March 11th. It's not like it's January 11th. So finally, there is some hope that Marian Gaborik could be on this team in the not too distant future. And who knows? Sooner or later, I'm going to put a poll up asking what do you think his production will be, but I'm not going to do it this week because he's not back playing yet. We're just going to wait and see what he does. Minnesota Wild are absolutely in the mix for the postseason, as they are only 6 points behind 5th-seeded Vancouver. They are 4 points behind, are you ready? 6th-seeded Columbus. Columbus is the 6th seed. They just might make the playoffs, and they're 1 point behind Edmonton and Nashville for the 7th or 8th seed. So they are right in it. Unfortunately, you got Dallas breathing down our back, St. Louis breathing down our back, Anaheim and Los Angeles all breathing down our back they're either tied with us, 2 points, or 3 points behind. So everybody's still very much alive right now. Even 15th seeded Colorado, which is 11 points behind the Wild. Not easy to come back by 11 points, but it's been done. So the Wild absolutely in the mix here. If Marian Gaborik could give the Minnesota Wild some type of a win streak or some type of run, who knows? Maybe we could even be, I won't say we'll be looking at home ice, but maybe a clash with Calgary or Chicago could be in the mix. I wouldn't like our chances with Calgary. I'd love to get San Jose in the first round. Oh, if we got that 8th seed and San Jose was number 1, oh, you never know. Maybe the Wild could do what the San Jose Sharks used to do to the Detroit Red Wings years ago when they used to knock the Red Wings out in the first round. You never know. I wouldn't be surprised if the Wild got lucky and beat the San Jose Sharks in a postseason series because that is not a good matchup for the Sharks. I don't think they like us at all, and I don't blame them. Now, one other quick story, as we're going to get off the Wild for a second, even though there is definitely some Minnesota connection here, in a sense, North Star connection. Guy Carbonneau, who was a Canadian, then a Dallas Star, and then a Canadian coach, Montreal Canadiens coach, was fired this week. And guess who is back behind the bench for the first time in quite a while? Former Minnesota North Star, I almost said Wild, Minnesota North Star's coach and general manager, who ended up going to Montreal to be the general manager, Bob Gainey. Bob Gainey will now be coaching the Montreal Canadiens. As we all remember the wonderful playoff run the Minnesota North Stars had back in 1991. So, that's going to be kind of cool to see Bob Gainey back behind the bench. We'll see how those Montreal Canadiens do. They are absolutely in the playoff mix with the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, 79 points. They are only 3 points behind 4th seed in Philadelphia. So they just may have a shot at some home ice advantage too, at least in the first round. So I think this is kind of cool. So old school North Star fans, keep an eye on those Montreal Canadiens. They're going to be a team I'm going to be rooting for out in the East, along with Boston, because I just love Boston teams. So I don't know. It's just kind of cool to see that. See what Bob Gainey can do once again. Can he do it again? All right. Well, here is the final part of the show coming up here. We're going to check up on the Houston Aeros. We're going to do a little Houston Aeros checkup. Benoit Pouliot continuing to be productive in Houston. In 15 games, he now has 11 points. So remember, before he had 6 points in 6 games. So not quite on that 80-point-a-year tear or whatever he was on, but still very productive with 3 goals, 8 assists in only 15 games. So very nice to see the production by Benoit Pouliot. Danny Yerman, he got a point. Danny Yerman now has 11 points. As, he is struggling so bad over there in Houston, not getting much ice time. He is buried, I believe, on the 3rd or 4th line down there in Houston, and that is quite a shame. Corey Locke continuing to dominate, 63 points in 61 games, still not in the NHL, and there's probably a reason for that, along with Chris Kalanos with 39 points in 35 games. Those guys are going to tear it up in the minors, but I don't know if they're ever going to be NHL players. And that's a shame because most of the star players on the Houston Aeros are not not guys the Wild really look at as major factors in the system, major factors for the future of the Wild. Like, there's no high draft pick in Houston right now that is producing, other than Benoit Pouliot. Thank God is finally producing ever so slightly, as Barry Brust was another goalie taken the same year as Josh Harding. He's doing okay. His record is 9-8 with a goals against average of 2.51, save percentage of 91.3. That's not horrible. And then Nolan Schaefer, a career minor league goalie who's not been too bad. I mean, the Wild have had major success with that in the past. He is 23-15 with a goals against average of 250 and a save percentage of 90.5. So that's pretty much the report from the Houston Aeros. It's not really about wins and losses with them. It's about production. Who's producing down in Houston and who is due to come up to your Minnesota Wild. Right now, nobody's really going to be, none of these guys to me would really produce on the NHL roster this year, but let's hope that there is some type of production on the way for some of these players for next season. So we're just going to have to wait and see there. Danny Yerman, boy, oh boy. I mean, my confidence in him has been shattered the past year and a half, as I was really high on him Really excited to see a Gopher star be taken in the third round, finally by the Wild, a Gopher star. See if he can produce, like Jordan Leopold maybe someday, as he was, like, I believe, a mid-round pick by the Calgary Flames. So, we're just going to have to wait and see on that. Overall, the story with the Wild, the signs are starting to point to the positive direction as they are getting more and more efficient on the power play, and overall are playing better defense. The goalies are doing good overall. Not in the LA game. Backstrom struggled a little bit, but there are signs of improvement for this Minnesota Wild team. And, of course, we'll see. Will Marian Gaborik be a factor? We're just going to have to wait and see on that. So, with that, I'm going to call it a show, and I thank you always for listening to the show. Do check out minnesota.nhlfansite.com. Do absolutely sign up for the message boards on thesportstuff.com. Email me at paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com, or hit me up on the message boards. I am Paladino Live on the message boards on thesportstuff.com. Until then, we're gonna call it a week, and we'll talk to you soon.